right, welcome to the next episode of Discipline, Desire, and Dedication. My name is Dakota Lang, along co-host Garrett Cotten. Episode 50. So another milestone in our Discipline, Desire, Dedication journey. Hey, another milestone, another mile marker.
That's right.
Another mile marker.
We are slowly but surely getting it. We're going to blink and we're going to be at 500 episodes before we know it. So,
super pumped.
Yeah. So let's kind of recap a little bit about, we've been going on the podcast now since December of 23. So a little over a year that we've been doing it. What's some of your favorite pods you've done so far?
That's a tough question. I love the Performance Windows pods.
Yeah.
Just because, that's, our life revolves around Performance Windows. So It's good to hear other testimonies in that aspect. I do like hearing other people's perspectives in different industries, just kind of like same mindset thing, just in different products. That's always cool. I wouldn't say I really have a favorite episode. I just kind of enjoy the networking of meeting new people and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say too that, kind of looking back, some of my favorite podcasts, of course, the Performance Windows ones, because that's the path that we're literally on.
Yep.
It's almost like reliving some of the experiences that we've already had. But also I love getting like Levi and Kyle on here, the owners of it, because we see a little bit, instead of talking about what we've learned in performance, it's about the vision of what's coming. So I've really enjoyed those as well. But yeah, same thing with bringing on the people from different industries. Definitely just realizing that everybody's route to success is pretty similar. It's not, everybody's not doing it a different way. It's all mindset.
It's similar but different.
Everybody does the same things, but just a little bit different.
Which that's what makes life so fun. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Is that there's so many different paths to success that, but as long as you just keep it simple, like you said, it's mindset. If you have the mindset to do it, then anybody can do it.
Yep.
We did do the giveaway last time. Dawson Grace won the giveaway. He is going to Hawaii.
Congrats, Dawson.
Congrats, Dawson. Appreciate all the support, watching all the episodes. Me and you have never been to Hawaii.
Nope. So tell us how it is. Maybe we'll go check it out right after you, Dawson.
Absolutely. So one thing that we do want to dive in today is just, focus on starting new businesses. We're in the process of starting a wedding venue right now, so it's different than the Performance Windows way, but at the same time, it's very similar.
Yeah.
So let's kind of dive into, how the mindset of opening a new business and, what are some skill sets that we're learning and that we're replicating into the wedding venue business. That maybe people could take from us.
Yeah. For one, we're figuring it out, guys. So don't hold us to it. But what I've learned so far is that, for one, by finding a skill or an industry where we can make a lot of money before we start to invest in ourselves, I think that's crucial in opening a business. Just because the amount of stress that we have, I feel like putting money into the wedding venue, we've got more room to play because we have a little bit better financial backing. But really, truly, we just kind of learning as we go.
I'm glad, 100%. And that's one thing that a lot of new business owners never get to experience, is because they never start, right? We're talking about this wedding venue for a while now, and then we're just like, okay, let's take some type of action. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the first step we took was getting my mom and my brother involved. And let's just say that was the wrong step. I gave my mom some money to fix the house up, and she ended up decorating it instead of like fixing the AC units and stuff like that. So I'd say that in starting a business, it's very important to get the right people on your team and to get them doing the right things. So shout out to Nick. If Nick listens to this, he's going to help us out a whole lot with this as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Getting the right people on your team, and because you can't do it all on your own. That's a fact. We know that for sure. But I'll just say, just as far as like opening a business, one of the biggest struggles that a lot of people have is they look for instant results, which opening a new business, we both know, is that something that, does not tend to happen. It's a process.
Yeah, we're investing in the idea. and then just we're going to keep on working towards it until we see something come to life.
Yep.
But nothing's guaranteed. Even like coming out here to do door-to-door sales, like there nothing was guaranteed. It's just, I mean, I went through a whole month of pretty much seeing no sales, just belief that a sale will come. Same thing with the wedding venue. We're going to put a lot of money into this, and we're going to work really hard to build it, and then we just believe that people are going to book it.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just trusting ourselves and trusting our abilities for sure.
Yeah. Let's kind of go into that a little bit. I know we've had Trent opened a new market, had a couple new markets opening up with performance windows, and especially as a regional role, what are some things that you see in new market owners that go to open up an office that maybe or some skill sets or some traits that they see that maybe could benefit the audience in starting their own business?
Yeah, no, for sure. The real big thing that I've seen with brand new market owners, so it's a little bit different result whenever somebody takes over an existing office versus somebody who's going and open up a brand new market. With the brand new markets, the thing is, we got to think about the guys that are going to open up those brand new markets. They're leaving an established market, usually $1 million or more office, and they have to go and they're going to try and replicate that. So the first thing that I see is that and this is with Thomas, somebody who broke a company record for, the most revenue done for a brand new office, over 700,000, which is pretty insane.
Yep.
But even Thomas is leaving a culture of Austin, Texas, where y'all were doing 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, or and higher. So he's leaving that really big winning culture to go and try and replicate that culture. So the biggest thing is that I've seen is they have to go in there understanding that there's going to be a slump in total revenue, but the reality of it is that they're still winning for themselves. Thomas is one where, he feels all that pressure now because he feels like he's not winning, but the reality of it is he's still winning. Like, he's pacing for an incredible office, incredible success, but he's used to seeing those $1 million months, and his first month is $700K. And then he feels like it's not enough, but that is the record, but that's what I've noticed so far. Christian the same way. Christian has seen $1 million months himself. And then he comes over to Seattle where, their first month they break $500K, which a first month market and where we've never touched doors to break $500K is still impressive, So I think that, as listeners are listening to this, if you come in and you're riding this performance windows train and you become a market owner, understand that you're probably going to see a little bit of struggle in your first couple of months. But as long as you continue to do the things that you are doing in those successful markets, the results are going to follow. And that's like us seeing it as a business. We believe and we know that if we do the right things, we're not going to see those results from day one. But we know that we're eventually going to see the results, So it's just translating from business to business.
Yeah. Well, I think so. Whenever I was younger, I started a lawn care business, and I'm going to revert it back to performance windows, but I want to really make this statement is that whenever I started the lawn care business, right, everybody was like, oh, there's a lot of lawn care companies out there, blah, 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 blah,
yep.
Right? It's the same principle as whenever you're opening a new market in a different area, right,
yep.
where there's no existing market.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that success is a formula,
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I feel like some of these new market owners or new business owners, in a sense, they try to reinvent the wheel,
mm-hmm.
And they start thinking they have to come up with a new formula,
yep.
When in reality, the formula works.
Mm-hmm.
If you just stick to the formula, you will see results. It's the moment that you start getting in your head thinking, oh, this is a different area.
Yeah.
This is different people. These people want this thing, not this thing.
Yeah.
The second that you start believing that is the second that you lose,
mm-hmm.
And I'm living proof of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you go into a new market or a new business, like you said, all right, with the wedding venue, right? Really, in our head, we're believing, no, people are going to love this. I don't care if they got a wedding venue next door.
Yeah.
They're going to love ours more.
Yeah.
Period. I don't care. And that's the same type of belief that you have to have in your business to be able to see the results that you want to see.
Yeah, think big. Yeah, think big is the big message there too, because you have to expect that you're going to be the best at it. We're not opening a business to just be another wedding venue. We want to put every dollar we got into it
We want to be the wedding venue.
Yeah, and that everybody calls about. We want to be the one that's booked out for years,
And I don't want to be the cheapest.
Yeah.
I want to be the most expensive, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we want to drop a lot of money into it.
I want value when people, and that's the thing is that, I'm going to go back to lawn care, right? Everybody said, 1 million lawn companies out there, you're going to have to do it for super cheap to gain your clients. No, actually, you need to raise your prices. You know what I mean? Get more valuable clients. Get what you're worth, because if you're able to do that and you're able to build the value, you can charge whatever you want to charge. People will pay it.
100%. Yeah, but that's also taking advice from people who don't own businesses and versus figuring out yourself, because if you go out there and you just put those prices, you have the clientele, people are going to refer you. I mean, your business was pretty successful, like in comparison to Ryan Prejean's. I know he'll never listen to this. Ryan Prejean get like 3 yards a month, probably more than that, but
he'd always be at the K house.
It was super small. He wasn't focused on expanding his business because it was a one-man show. Imagine if McDonald's only had one guy in there. You ain't serving as many burgers as you could. Versus for you start hiring out friends, expanding your business, getting more yards. Same thing with what we do every day at Performance Windows too.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that if you're opening a new business, you have to be so sold on what you're going to do that nobody can stop you, because it's easy to get that thought process in your head of self-doubt, self-doubt of, oh my God, is it harder here? Is it saturated? When in reality, it's all a mindset. If you can't get sold on that. We had a conversation with a gentleman last night with Performance Windows, and, you could just tell by the way he was talking, kind of a sense of doubt.
Yeah, getting sold because of the negative in his office every day,
And you can't do that. And that's just in general with any business, is that you have to be the one that has that such high belief, there is no other option. We're here now. We have to win regardless.
Yeah, and that's true. And even if we were to ever, Performance Windows is our path, but it's the belief of wherever we go, we're going to be able to build that following. But selling is selling. You have to sell the people in your business that we're going to be successful. You just like we're selling Nick that we're going to make everything possible to make this happen. So I mean that's part of building a business, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you've been a regional for 2 months now. 7 different offices. What is the difference? What would you say? And then maybe you can ask me this question, and I'll just kind of talk about it from my perspective as well. But what do you think separates the top producers from the average producers in a market owner role?
Yeah, the top producers are people who, it's their lifestyle. It's the people who can eliminate distractions. Thomas, one thing I got to give to him is he moved out to San Antonio. He replicated the system. He got his wife on board. His wife was knocking doors. You are embodying yourself into the system whenever everybody in your family is doing it. There's no excuses. It is dialed all the time. Versus, in other markets I've seen where people, like in established markets, it's like Jacksonville. When I first got there, maybe it seemed like it was a job rather than everybody was hungry to get in the room. Same thing with Nashville. It was more of a job, people showing up, where Guppy was still living his outside life, not really investing into the systems of Performance Windows. So I think the people who have the most success are the people who eliminate the distractions. And you have to understand that it's not forever.
And how when you say eliminate distractions, how do you do that?
You have to have the self-talk and understand that what's important for you and what's not important. In my opinion, Even Kyle Deaver said it on our podcast. I mean, not the podcast, the market on our closer meeting we did this week. Garrett, he made it known that if his wife isn't on board with him and where he's going, then he's leaving her behind, and that's true. Like you have to have the communication with the people in your life that they have to understand where you're going. My mom would not call me if I'm in a neighborhood, and it's she has my location on my phone. It's not because I don't want her to. It's because she knows how invested I am in my work when I'm working. So she doesn't call me to distract me. So those are the eliminating the distractions. It's communicating with the people in your life and letting them know that, hey, I'm sacrificing everything to build this, and I just need you to be a support system for me. So there are other cases where people hold them back. For Guppy, his household.
I believe the top performers in the world all comes from involvement.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, distractions, a lifestyle. In my words, I would say is involvement.
Mm-hmm.
As a top producing market owner in the company, I'm not better than anybody else, but I can tell you right now that everybody in my office knows that you're not going to get nothing by me.
No.
You know what I mean? I'm watching everything that goes on.
Mm-hmm.
I might not even be saying nothing, but I'm watching it. You know what I mean? I am involved. And I feel like when people see that you're involved, it just shows that you care. You know what I mean? Like I feel like whenever you take your hands, it's kind of like feeling a pulse. You know what I mean? You get too far away from it, you can't feel the pulse of your office.
That's something that I see in all the officers too, is that whenever I can call a market owner and get immediate ratios or immediate set to run combos, they just know that on the top of their head. Those are the offices that are doing better. And it's because that market owner is so involved rather than just letting the business run on its own. Grant Cardone, I love him. He says that micromanagement is only bad if you don't want to see success. But if you want to see success, micromanagement's a good thing. And he uses the example of like open heart surgery. If you have an open heart surgery right here on this table, would you want somebody to be micromanaging every single cut that goes on, every single incision? I would want somebody to micromanage my surgery. I want to make sure that everything is getting done the right way to see success. So it's the same thing with running our sales business. To be involved as a market owner and have all of everybody in your office, where they're at and what they're doing. It's not a bad micromanagement. It's just going to lead to more success for everybody.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because I know both of us, coming through the company, we were like, I'm not going to be micromanaged. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to micromanage. That's the great thing about us, is that we're our own business.
Yeah.
Do you have that same perspective now as you've grown through the company? Or like you're talking about right now, if you were having open heart surgery, you would want them micromanaging?
Well, when I was a knocker, closer, market owner, the way that I looked at my leadership is, if they start telling me what to do, I'm going to do the opposite. I didn't want to be micromanaged. But another thing too is, when I first came in, I was humble. I was an open book, because this was a brand new industry to me and I didn't know anything about it. So I came into the room, Levi's running the meetings, and I'm just, if he's saying that guys are making this kind of money, I need to do what he's doing. But it took me 2, 3, 4 months to really understand the job. But the thing is I didn't quit over those 4 months. But over those 4 months, I took all of the training and I actually applied. But the thing is I wasn't at a leadership position at that point. I was just a knocker. So I didn't know what I was doing. So I didn't feel micromanaged. I actually liked the attention. If they call me out in the morning meetings, I like the attention because it's helping me to get better. But whenever I became a market owner, the mindset of a market owner, I know everything. I run this business. I built this business, So now at this level of leadership, I feel like micromanagement isn't as necessary, because we've proven ourselves to be people who are going to hold the standard in our rooms.
Right.
So I feel like it kind of transfers. So, brand new people in the company, you need that attention. You need to have people like market owners. I mean, you see it when the office gets to be 30 plus people, it's hard to give attention to those people who come in at the bottom, and those might be the people who, if it was like us, if we had the proper attention, maybe it would help us to be more successful.
Right.
But when your office is at 35 people, it's hard to capitalize on the potential, because you're going to focus on the 20% because there's so many people in the room.
Right.
But as you get bigger and you're in higher leadership, it's kind of like with, dealing with stuff right now. For us at market owner, I wasn't the best at reporting on things as a market owner, because I was so busy running my business that I really didn't like just watch my numbers, but you got to get to that position first.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Do you feel it's any different though? Like, how about from your perspective, knocker up to market owner today? Have you felt like a change in that micromanagement?
Yeah. Whenever I was knocking and closing, I mean, you didn't micromanage me at all. But at the same time, I went out there and did what I needed to do. I wanted it more than you wanted it for me. You know what I mean?
That's the problem we see with a lot of people is we want it for them more than they want it for themselves. But me and you've always been a partnership, so I was understood. Like, hey, this is what we're doing to get there.
Yeah.
Versus sometimes the people that come in right now and they're like, I'm just helping that guy out.
And that's another thing. And let me finish with the question. Then I want to roll into as far as building a business, new market owner with performance windows, or just a business in general, is that it's a partnership. It's not these people are working for you.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people when they start businesses, they just feel like they hire people to work for them. Well, if you hire people to just work for you, that's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to have no growth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're just going to work for you. They're just going to get their check and they're going to roll. And the second that you do that, if they don't have the same vision of you, they don't have the same opportunity for growth as you, then what are they working for?
Yeah.
And that's something that you can, I mean, just like the wedding venue, talking to Nick, like, hey, look, this is the opportunity. This is the beginning.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, this ain't a one-stop shop and we're done. No,
if this works, we are expanding.
Yeah, expanding.
Yeah. More and more.
Yeah, and it's just more opportunity for growth, just giving opportunity to different people to grow with the company. And that's one thing that differentiates a successful business rather than an unsuccessful business, in my opinion.
I mean, my mom, she worked for a hospice company, or she was a part owner in a hospice company. And the idea, the thing is that they had like 60 employees at one time, and over 40 of the people that worked with my mom there have quit. And it's because everybody was just an employee. There was no opportunity for growth. Everybody was capped out, and then the owners were doing good, but then the employees, they just got by. But here at Performance Windows, that's why our business is so successful. We can expand to every 15 days opening a new market. It's because the opportunity for everybody here is endless.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's really big too. Everybody that's coming into the company, I try and tell people that at the brand new meetings when it's a brand my first time to visit. I explained to them that when I came in, there was only 100 people in this office. I mean, in this company, and for me, today, 2.5 years later, I'm in the top 5 of the company. It's Levi, Kyle, and then me and 2 other regionals. So from being the 100th person in the company to climbing to be the top 5. Everybody has that same opportunity, but the only difference now is now we're at like 250 people. But you still have the opportunity to be 250th. You can be a Will Bingham or a Christian Damesworth or somebody that comes in just an absolute stud and prove yourself. And in the course of a year, go from the 250th person to the top 10 and really, really quick at that. Yep. So, I mean, but it's because Performance Windows, it gives that opportunity to have ownership.
Right. Yeah, I 100% agree. And it comes back to how bad you simply want it. Mm-hmm. That's all it does. It comes back to how bad do you want the success. You know what I mean? Just like, how we started off the podcast. You have to have so much belief in what you're doing from the jump to be able to reap those rewards. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think it's incredible, man. Seeing the new market owners, and I'll kind of say it from my perspective. Been a market owner for over a year and 4 months, and from opening or taking over a failing market, and when everybody believed that it was harder, you know what I mean, you couldn't sell there. It just simply comes down to, as the leader in the room, you have to develop that culture, the winning culture, to be able to go out there and have everybody on the same vision, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, if you keep that vision high, it's going to be good. So speaking of vision, though, what's kind of like our vision with performance? With the podcast now. So DDD, we're doing the giveaways. We've kind of pulled away, so we were gonna do the Shopify. We'll still have the Shopify available, but want to expand the brand a little bit more. We're going to be doing more giveaways as far as like merch and stuff like that. You think we're going to plan another trip giveaway anytime soon, or what you think we should be doing?
I think we'll wait a little while.
Wait a little while.
Wait a little while on the trip giveaway, but we do have some cool stuff coming down the pipeline. Make sure y'all check out the Shopify store. Got some cool stuff on there.
Yeah.
It's been giving a bunch of stuff out. You know, the biggest thing is that this is a long-term goal here. You know, the podcast is just a plus one for, you know, us to be able to share our story, hear other people's testimony. But honestly, discipline, desire, and dedication is bigger than us.
Yeah.
You know, it's more of a platform for success. That's it. It's a platform for success. There's no telling where we're going to be at in 5 years with this thing. You know, it just all starts with being consistent, which is what we're doing, and changing lives, man. Changing lives and helping people get to where we're at, you know, and just grow with us.
I'm excited to use it for my benefit of like looking back, because once we get to it, because I'm going to be honest, I don't listen to the full podcast just because try not to mess up my mindset on anything. I'm just like, well, whatever I'm saying, I'm just keep saying that. Yep. But at some point, I will go back and watch all the podcasts as a reminder for myself of like where we came from.
Yeah.
You know, but it's again, we're documenting this as we're seeing our successes. So I mean, it's just going to be bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, that's about all I got today. What you got?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited for more to come, more guests to come on. We're going to bring back a lot of old guests and hear how much they've grown since their first time on the podcast. So,
yeah, and I think let's give a shout out to Hunter James and Trey. I think they're both fighting. I think Trey might be fighting this weekend.
Heck yeah.
I know Hunter James, he's fighting the night before Dustin Poirier in New Orleans.
Dang.
So he's working his way up. But shout out to both of you guys. We appreciate what y'all do, and y'all keep making it to the top. We're in full support.
Heck yeah. Let us know if y'all need anything.
Yeah. Well, cool deal. Well, that sounds good. Well, that's going to wrap us up for today. Thank you for watching Discipline, Desire, Dedication. Make sure to like and share the post. Also, drop a comment below and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you. Have a good day.
Peace.